how much rejection can one fan base absorb before hope curdles into something darker, sharper, and far more dangerous? That question is pulsing through Toronto right now, rattling the windows of Rogers Centre and settling uncomfortably in the chest of every Blue Jays supporter who dared to believe this offseason would finally be different. Welcome back to the Blue Jays Report, because we need to talk honestly about what just happened. Not spin, not optimism by default, but the raw truth. The latest news out of the front office isn't just another missed opportunity, it's a psychological body blow, the kind that brings back memories fans thought they'd buried after the Shohei Ohtani flight tracking saga. This wasn't a lack of effort. In fact, that's what makes it hurt so much more. The Blue Jays reportedly put a 10-year offer on the table for Kyle Tucker. 10 years, a decade-long vow meant to scream stability, ambition, and belief in a championship future. This wasn't a casual flirtation. This was Toronto standing in the middle of the room, baring its soul and saying, "Choose us." And Tucker didn't. He chose the Los Angeles Dodgers on a shorter deal. And with that decision, the rejection cut far deeper than money ever could. This wasn't about being outbid. This felt like a verdict on the project itself. Once again, Toronto finds itself branded as the almost team. Always involved, always a finalist, always respected enough to get the meeting, but rarely respected enough to close the deal. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the state of the franchise, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report, because this story is far from over. And then came the follow-up sting. Cody Bellinger, the obvious plan B, reportedly isn't even on the Jays' radar, so suddenly the safety net is gone and the outfield picture looks uncomfortably familiar. Last season's rotation of Miles Straw, Davis Schneider, Nathan Lukes, and Dalton Varsho was functional, but functional doesn't win the American League East. Functional keeps you competitive until September, then politely escorts you out of the conversation. Varsho's defense is elite, unquestioned, but defense alone doesn't intimidate the Yankees or keep pace with the Orioles' rising juggernaut. The offense from that group was patchwork at best, and patchwork solutions are dangerous when your competitive window is visibly narrowing. The Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette era is not infinite, no matter how much we wish it were. The fan base is split down the middle. One side is furious, ready to hold the front office accountable for another superstar slipping away. The other side is clinging to hope that Anthony Santander rebounds and carries the load. But hope, as baseball history has taught us time and again, is not a strategy. So now the rejection forces a pivot, and this is where the conversation gets interesting. If you can't buy power, maybe you change the question entirely. Maybe you stop chasing thunder and start chasing friction. That's where one name keeps resurfacing, growing louder the more you think about it: Stephen Kwan. Before you tune out because he doesn't hit moonshots, listen closely. Baseball is obsessed with launch angle and exit velocity, but what happens when those swings go cold in October? Stephen Kwan is the antidote to that volatility. Reports suggest the Blue Jays checked in on him before, and the interest hasn't faded because Kwan is a unicorn in a strikeout-heavy era. The numbers feel almost fictional. He ranks in the 100th percentile for whiff rate. Nobody misses less. He's in the 99th percentile for strikeout rate and among the league's best for chase rate. In a sport dominated by 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and wicked sweepers, Kwan simply refuses to comply. He puts the bat on the ball, relentlessly, stubbornly, like a man personally offended by the concept of striking out. Now imagine that skill set at the top of Toronto's lineup. Picture Guerrero Jr. stepping into the box with traffic already on the bases, pitchers forced into the stretch from pitch one. Kwan's career on-base percentage and his Gold Glove defense don't just fill a hole, they change the rhythm of the entire team. This isn't doubling down on slugging, this is restoring balance. The Blue Jays were dreadful with runners in scoring position last season. Do you know what fixes that? A hitter who doesn't vanish in high-leverage moments. A hitter who forces defenses to make plays. Compared to the current options, Kwan is night and day. He's controlled through 2027, perfectly aligned with the remaining window of this core. Yes, the cost will hurt. Cleveland doesn't give away cost-controlled stars. Prospects will be required, and that's a hard pill to swallow. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Standing pat is worse. Entering the season with the same outfield and praying for internal improvement is a gamble this division will punish by June. Adding Kwon wouldn't just improve the roster, it would change the team's personality. It would make the Blue Jays exhausting to play against. This is the Moneyball move, not the galactic one, and it might not sell jerseys overnight, but when October demands a single instead of a swing for the fence's strikeout, Kwon is the man you want standing there. So, here we are, at the crossroads. Missing out on Kyle Tucker bruised the ego of the franchise, no doubt, but smart organizations don't sulk, they adapt. Stephen Kwon wouldn't be a consolation prize, he'd be a statement of intent, a declaration that Toronto understands what it actually needs to win. If the front office fails to act, the atmosphere at Rogers Center will sour quickly. Fans have been patient through rebuilds and heartbreak, but patience has a limit. This move is about belief, not just numbers. It's about showing Guerrero and Bichette that the window still matters. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you empty part of the farm system for a contact machine like Stephen Kwon, or are you willing to gamble on the status quo? Drop your take in the comments, smash that like button if you want decisive action, and make sure you're subscribed to the Blue Jays Report. This debate is only just beginning, and I'll see you right down there.